everybody. My name is Brandon Evans. I'm the Director of Employers Training Resource, the county's Chief Workforce Development Officer, but you can just call me the Jobs Guy. And this is episode 3 of Job Talk. We are super excited today. We have a very special guest. When I think of entrepreneurs with a heart, when I think of entrepreneurs who are looking to give back to their community, I think of no one else than Linean's CEO, co-founder, founder, owner, lead consultant extraordinaire, all the things. Jim, welcome.
Brandon, thanks for having me. Sorry, Mr. Jobs. Thank you for having me, my friend. It's an honor to be on your show, your beautiful set here, and to be with you this morning.
Well, I appreciate you being here. I look forward to this conversation. You have so much insight, whether we're talking your time as a social worker, your time with the county later on here in Kern, your entrepreneurial adventures, including your current one. You're Mr. AI guy. Like, there's just so much for you to share, and I look forward to spending the next few minutes doing that.
I look forward to sharing all that I have. I think you just called me old, is what I just read between those lines, but I'll take that as a compliment.
Hey, the silver fox.
Something like that.
Yeah, well done.
Well, it's really great that you humble me and by inviting me on your show, and congrats on bringing this to life. This is a great show. I know you got a lot of viewers out there, a lot of listeners, and it's just it's a really cool part of something you don't always see, this kind of media innovation in government. So I think it's a big testament to your leadership. So happy to be with you.
Yeah, well, so you are part of the inspiration for this. Our lunches and some of the stuff that you would drop on me, I thought, like, somehow we got to get this out to the public. And now I know that, in some cases you are so cutting edge that you might not be able to share everything. And so we'll just put that out on the front. But whatever you're able to share, I know that the public would love to hear it. So let's just start with, tell everybody about Jim Damian. Where did you start? How did you end up where you are now?
Well, that's a good question. I'll give you the Cliff Notes. Fourth generation Tehachapi guy, right? Great grandfather immigrated from Mexico 103 years ago. We've been in Tehachapi for 4 generations. I now live here in Bakersfield. First male in my family to go to college. Ended up becoming a social worker. Did direct practice social work and then management, social service management. In that experience, kind of figured out the best social program is a job. Right. I wasn't as skilled at it as you are. They didn't call me Mr. Jobs, but I...
well, for the record, I call myself...
Oh, that's right. Okay. I heard it's catching on. Your paycheck will say Mr. Job. And so, after a short time as a social worker and as a manager in a social services agency up in Northern California, decided to start a company. We started a local company. It was important to me to do it here locally. We ran that for about 18 years. We sold that company. Then I was honored to go work for the county for a couple years. That's how you and I first met.
Yes.
And then in January of this year, just 11 months ago, I started a new company with some really smart people here in town called Linean. We're a technology services company with a big focus on artificial intelligence, headquartered right here in Kern County. So, Kern County's home. I love Kern County. California's home. I love California for all its beauty and its flaws. Just like a human, right? We're all a mixed bag. So is a state. My wife's a school teacher here. I got a daughter in college and a daughter about to graduate high school. So, I love it here. And the way that the county runs and the city runs and the economy runs here in Kern is part of the reason we're still here.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Let's just jump right into this. So you said something already that I think is really, really helpful. So you may or may not know this, but I was also a social worker. I was an employment counselor / social worker, worked with foster youth, a lot of those things. And I completely agree with something you've already said, which is the best social program is a job. Why don't you elaborate on that?
I don't know who said that first. I think I probably stole that from maybe a Ronald Reagan clip, but I don't know if he coined it or who he stole it from. But so when I was a social worker, we would help enroll people in public benefits and everything from public aid, which is really important, safety net in our society, to bus tickets and these sorts of items and essential services and benefits you could help people obtain as a social worker. And people were always appreciative, but I noticed, in other areas of my life, when people were getting paychecks, they really liked it. Yeah. And I never met anybody as a social worker who didn't want to work. Everybody, every family, even the kids, they wanted a job, man.
Right.
And so I thought, well, is there a way to create a company where you could start out, at the bottom, or in a very basic task, and have the capacity to move all the way up, to the boardroom. So that was really the focus for us, is to create the kind of company that would allow serious upward mobility, where you could start at minimum wage and into six figures. And that was a very important element to what we started at our first company here in town.
Right. And so if you were just to direct a message to job seekers out there, like about the need to sometimes start at the bottom and be able to work your way up, what advice would you offer?
Pick the right company and start and try. After a year, you'll know if there's upward mobility, if there's an opportunity to grow, but give it a year. Prove yourself every day with your work. Every day is your audition for the next promotion.
Right.
And, people say dress for the job you want. I would say, yeah, that, but even more importantly, perform at the level of the job you seek, right? And I think there's not a company, I know a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners, a lot of, business people. Everybody's waiting for that person to come in, prove themselves, and vocalize it. Hey, here's where I'm at. Here's where I'd like to go. Can you help me get there? It almost never happens. But everybody in leadership is waiting for that person to come in the office and go, hey, I love it here. I'm all in. And by the way, if you're seeking a job, you're somewhere, and after a year you don't see opportunity for growth, that's okay to start looking. Don't be afraid. Move around, find the right fit, and just keep grinding. It's all about that grind.
Yeah, that grind and that fit. Where is it that you're excited to get up every day and go do good work, right?
Yeah, where can you get excited? And also, where can you develop your skills? People want to hire for skills and personality, right? And with the technology advancement, if you know how to use that technology, if you have skills and you're a likable person, you put the effort in to build relationships, you'll do well in any organization. But you'll find young people new into the job market, I think it's important to realize you have to develop that expertise, right? Then it's really fun. When you're good at something, it's pretty fun. It really sucks getting good at something, though. It's hard. You're an expert at jiu-jitsu. The first month of jiu-jitsu probably wasn't a lot of fun, but it's probably really fun now because you're an expert. It's the same thing at work. Doing billing or accounts receivable, it ain't that fun. Sweeping the warehouse, but when you get really good at it, it's really fun. So get good. Get really good at things.
Yeah, it is fun to be good at something.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, but the humility necessary to go through sometimes the heartache and the pain to get good is where people stop, and then they never actually realize the fun of it.
Yeah, that's a super good point. I think it's the same in business and athletics. It really, really sucks getting good at something. Once you're good, it's great. But most of us look at the people who are already good. They're already hosting the Job Talk podcast and go, oh, well, that just comes natural. That comes natural to Brandon Evans. Well, maybe some of it does, but you worked your tail off over a career to earn the right to be Mr. Jobs.
Yeah. So let's flip this, because I think we're going to find some connections. Put on your entrepreneur hat. Talk to folks out there that have an idea, that have a dream, but haven't yet pulled the trigger on launching into their own venture. Two sides to that coin. One, don't quit your day job, right? And then on the other side of the coin is just do it, right? Start that thing. You don't have to do your entrepreneurial pursuit full time. You can start with dip your toe in the water and try and find that first account, that first customer, before you leave your day job, right? Build up some savings, find a way to fund that dream, and then go for it. If you have a calling to go start a company or start your own private enterprise, do it. As you well know, most of the new jobs created in America are done by small businesses. Yeah, so when you highlight the fact that, most jobs in general are, at the mom and pop, the small business level, I mean, you did this, right? You went from working for someone else to working for yourself. Why don't you take us through, what that transition was like? And
Man, I won't sugarcoat it. It was very difficult. The first few years, by few I mean 8. I didn't know what I was doing. I just know I wanted to create this thing with people to to solve problems and give fellow humans an opportunity to improve their lot in life. And so that's really was my focus. I didn't understand finances. I didn't really understand sales. I'm kind of a natural sales guy, so we figured that out. But I didn't understand finance. I didn't understand the core elements of business. So it took me almost a decade to kind of feel it out. And there's another great entrepreneur in town, Rick Kreiser, who was a mentor of mine early. And he says, sometimes, I never forget, he goes, sometimes, Jimmy, my boy, there's too much month at the end of the money. Yeah, right. And that's that's called entrepreneurial terror. Another mentor of mine, Scott Garrison, who was my business partner and just still a mentor and a best friend. We'd always talk about it starts with a sale. If you can get sales, right, you can figure out the rest of. Right. So the key is getting those sales, which means delighting clients. Then you can figure out the rest. But the most important thing is getting those clients to take that journey with you when you start. Right. But yeah, it's terrifying when you have a bunch of people every 2 weeks looking for their paycheck, and you go, "Gosh, I hope we have enough money to do it." And who's paid and who hasn't. I mean, it's a stressful endeavor, but what an adventure! Right. Life is so void of true adventure these days. Right. Aside from some of the physical things we can go do with endurance athletics or working out or combat sports like you participate in, what greater adventure is there than building a team or a company, even if it's a one person? That's a true adventure. Yeah. And that's rare in life. Right. How many times can you do an adventure? Yeah. The entrepreneur journey is an adventure every day. I mean, leadership's an adventure every day, right? Yeah. So it was an adventure, but there was a lot of scary moments, especially in the first 8 years.
Can you mention one?
Yeah, I could stop me at 100. No, I think probably the biggest one was, we were very new. We had one really huge client. Mm-hmm. It was the state of California. This was in 2007, right? Mm-hmm. 2 years into our company, and then this financial crisis of 2008 happened, and the state quit paying their bills. Mm-hmm. And so nobody knew what to do. We got these things in the mail called IOUs, and you still had to make payroll. So you figure out who can you borrow money from, how can and it was terrible. But we learned time to diversify and not just have one client that's huge, right? Have more clients. The unknown, right? There's always unknown. There's new laws every year that employers have to figure out how to manage and navigate. That's scary. Probably the biggest fear of any entrepreneur is the one I constantly had and have is making sure you have enough cash. Cash to cover your payments every 2 weeks for staff, and then all the other bills that come with running a company. I never thought of when I worked for the government. You never thought about, well, who buys the sticky notes and the batteries for the remote control and the printers and the phones and the hand wipes and the tissue. I mean, in regular jobs, it's just there, man. Yeah. But when you're the founder, the CEO, the manager, the leader, you got to make sure it's there. Right. So there's the scary thing of running out of cash down to the minute thing of who is buying the whiteboard pens? Like, we don't have any. Well, I guess I'll go to Home Depot. Yeah. There's that hour. So anyway, there's a million of those little terrorizing things that you just have to get to know and build systems around, and then it kind of evens out. But the starting is the scariest part. If people knew, if I would have known how terrifying parts would be, I probably wouldn't have done it. Interesting. It's like the old cartoon. I don't know if you ever saw it when you're so much younger than me, but there's this long ago cartoon, Bugs Bunny, and Bugs Bunny, he used to be able. He would walk on air. He'd walk off a cliff and he could just walk around on the air. Right. And then somebody gave him a book called Gravity, and he read the book and he couldn't walk on air anymore. He'd go straight down. Entrepreneurship's kind of like that. It's better that you don't know some of these things and you just figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Once you're in it, now I'm committed. Let's find a way to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like forget the guy's name, the first one to traverse the whole Amazon jungle.
I would ask Jim.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it'll come to me later. We'll chat GPT it at the break. But it's like when you're halfway through the Amazon, what you can turn around, but you're gonna go. You might as well just keep going. Right? Either way is a torturous journey. And I think sometimes starting a business when you're brand new, your first time out of the gate, it can be a little bit like being in the Amazon. But that's why it makes the adventure that it is.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes being willing to get out there enough that it's just as painful to try to go back as it is to go forward is kind of what you need to do. Like you said, if you knew that you'd really, really be struggling for like 8 years, you may not have. But once you're in it for 3, Might as well just keep plowing through.
Well, yeah. And, you do this thing called borrow money,
Right.
and the SBA kind of wants their money back. And so
Yeah.
do the banks. You're like, well, just keep grinding.
Yeah.
And that's whether you're starting a business or just working in a business. Yeah, maybe you don't owe money, but you're making half of what you think you should make. Just keep grinding.
Yeah.
Keep grinding. And if it doesn't start to show some opportunities to advance, look for other opportunities. There's a lot of companies. Exactly 100% of the companies in Bakersfield and Kern County want great talent.
Yes.
And talent is defined as much by aptitude and effort as by skills. So if you're a hard worker, right, find a way to impress and exceed expectations, you're going to move up.
Yeah.
You just got to grind it out. And after a year, you'll know.
Yeah, and it's interesting, you keep alluding to athletics. And one of the things that I've said for a long time is that athletic background, the technical skill may not always be there, but that willingness to run those extra sprints in practice, to stay late, all those things build a character that works well everywhere.
Oh, totally. I mean, I think athletics is a good one. People in arts who have developed
Right.
mastery of instruments. The other thing I love working with people who grew up in the service industry. You show me somebody that's bussed tables, waited tables, washed dishes, line cooked. They're excellent employees.
Right.
Almost 100% of the time. Maybe you have some exceptions. They're great colleagues. They're great employees. They're great partners because they figured out, how to grind, how to delight people, how to be of service. It's hard. You'd be hard pressed to find someone that didn't spend a significant time being a waiter or a waitress that isn't a stellar human and a great colleague.
Yeah. Every business has customer service as a part of it, regardless of the industry. And so when you get somebody who was just at the heart of customer service, yeah, it's about locking them into what you're doing, but that character that they come with is amazing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was a busboy. I never was a waiter, but I've worked with people who are in that service industry, and I think it comes down to this at least in America, these tips, right? You kind of start to realize the behaviors you have at a certain table, and then the tip's a little bit better or a little bit worse. You kind of start reading people and go, okay, if I say this, I do this, I'm quicker. I'm not, then all of a sudden you see, and so it's like this micro training that just starts happening, and man, it just seems to stick with people. It just really seems to stick with folks.
Yeah, you're getting this little bit of feedback all the time from every customer. It's like, okay, this works.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. Maybe I should smile.
Yeah.
Maybe I should look people in the eyes.
That's right.
Remember
names.
Remember names.
orders.
Yeah, remember orders.
Yeah.
Trick. The greatest trick in the world. Don't write it down. I mean, I don't know how people do that. I get so nervous. I go out to dinner with the family, and trust me, look at me. We order a lot. They don't write it down. I go, and then it comes out. It's like, man, Anyway, little things like that.
Yeah.
Develop mastery.
Well, and so earlier you talked about sales, right? And that's another thing. Customer service is in every industry. And truly, when you launch your own business, whatever the industry is, you're in sales. Can you talk about that? Can you talk about what you think makes for good sales? What you think, in your own experience, you've been good about? Just what do you like to...
Sales is nobody likes to be sold to. Right? It's very patently obvious when people come in and try and press you to sell you something. People want their problem solved.
Right.
So if you can provide a solution, you get a conversation going. Authenticity sells. People like authenticity. They don't want smoke and mirrors. But yeah, I mean, sales are key because there's only one cause of death to a business. It's running out of money. If you have enough money, you don't need customers, you don't need employees. You can just have a business and keep the lights on with money.
Right.
But the minute you run out of cash, you have no business. You either got to borrow it or go. So those clients, there's I look at the business world as a tri-equal imperatives. Customer service, customer satisfaction, delighting customers is number one. Got to obsess over your customers. There's two other equal ones, but customers are the first.
Right.
Yeah.
And what are the other two?
Financial management, right? You have to keep an eye on the dollars and cents every day. And then the third is your team. And these are all co-equal, right? Your customers, your finances, and your team, they all are, kind of this business trinity of equally important things. But to me, they're all priority number one.
Right.
Because without great partners and staff, you're not going to delight customers, right? And without money, you're not going to be able to pay those staff. So it's kind of this infinite loop. But when all three are in harmony or close to harmony, it starts to, magic happens.
Yeah. So You are the first, the only, maybe forever, Kern County's Chief Economic Development Officer. What did you learn during that time? What was great? What, challenges, whatever. Give me a glimpse of that.
I love being part of the county. I love being a small part of a big team. It was great. I learned that the community is eager, as you've seen and demonstrated. The community is eager to partner with county leaders.
Right.
So getting out there in the community was really fun. And it was novel. I think my approach to economic development was listen to customers, in other words, taxpayers, see what they might want,
Right.
and then try and prioritize every day around what could be the most benefit to people creating, businesses in Kern and bringing businesses to Kern. So that's kind of was my North Star was making sure Kern County is the best place in the state to start and grow a business. I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it's because of me. I think I did a little bit to help that. But I think there's 10,000 employees at the county that are doing a little something every day.
Right.
Nobody more than you now with your new role, helping make sure the employers and the workers of Kern are connected and taking advantage of the resources available. So I love that. The hard part, it's a big bureaucracy.
Right.
There's a lot of rules.
Right.
And you start to realize some of these rules and you go, well, I got to fill out this form in blue ink. Well, because 10 years ago somebody filled out in red ink and it didn't scan right. And so there's these rules. You go, what the heck is this rule?
Right.
There's always a reason,
Right.
So you kind of quit asking, why do I need to fill out this form in triplicate if I already did it online? There's little things like that. And so that was a little bit challenging for me.
Are
but
you a wild spirit?
I don't know. I'm my wild spirit. I don't know. Maybe I just have ADHD. I'm not sure. But there's things like that were tough. And every leader in government will tell you, the bureaucracy can be very challenging.
Yeah.
But you got to just accept it. Work through it.
Right.
Keep grinding, as we say.
Yeah. No, you really have to. It's part of understanding that you're going to work really hard. You're going to push as fast and as hard as you can, and yet still things are going to draw out much longer than you'd ever want. I know one of the things that you really made an impact on was the permitting process. Can you talk a little bit about that?
We just tried to bring some in the private sector to delight customers. You have these things called a scorecard, which tells you how many times were we accurate and on time for being of service, right? And try and take the emotion out of it. So we just tried to inspire all the departments, including planning and public works, folks that issue permits, to look at that. How long does it take to issue a permit? And so I like to think we had a small impact. These folks that work at the county are motivated and eager and enthusiastic. I think maybe we brought some private sector tips and tricks, because the private sector's had to figure this out, because you can run out of money. It's pretty tough to run out of money in the government. It can happen, but it's not common. So we just brought some tricks, some techniques that I think some of the departments adopted. Again, making sure this is the best place in the state to start and grow a business means making sure we're the most efficient at delivering permits, and that we're protecting life and safety as we're doing that. We've all been to other states and especially other countries where the permitting process, it's fast, but this stuff's falling down if somebody sneezes on the third floor.
Right.
So we have to really be safe and follow state and federal law, but also use some private sector mentality to kind of accelerate that, so that our customers, permit applicants who are borrowing money to build these structures and get a return on their capital, feel confident that when we say it's a month and not a year.
Yes.
And I think we do a great job in Kern County. Always room for improvement.
Yes.
But we're still the best place in the state to start and grow a business and to build buildings. But we got to keep our foot on the gas to get faster, better, and I think we're doing that at the county.
Yeah, finding ways to fine tune, to be efficient, right? Like it's not just about being fast; it's about being correct and right, and the quality of the process still needs to be intact. But if there's any way to just sharpen the sword a little bit and shave off a week, for that business, because back to economic development, if there's no business, there's no economic development. Government doesn't do that. We can help get out of the way and make it easier for the private sector, but it's the private sector that does that.
That's right. When I first got the job as your colleague as Chief Economic Development Officer, a very well-known city councilman told me, "Well, congrats on the job, but the government doesn't develop the economy. And I was like so deflated, like, golly, what a knock. But then I realized what that person meant, and he was right.
Yeah.
We don't, but we help, right? And a lot of it is, a huge part of the job is just keeping ourselves out of the way, right? Let's move out of the way, clear the lanes. This beautiful thing called capitalism will deliver miracles if we let it. And then we keep on, the other side of the coin, that really important safety net. Right, and frameworks that allow people to deliver within rules, because unchecked capitalism will go wild. We do need some rules and regulations to keep things safe and fair, right? So we've got that delicate balance in America and in Kern County where we don't want to overregulate. We need a little regulation, but not too much. And there's that healthy push and pull that you live in, right? And we get these grants from the state and the feds, and you try and get them out there, but like, in Kern County, how does that play, and where's the push and pull? It's not it's not the easiest thing in the world.
No.
But it's important.
Yeah. So after you made a major impact in that arena, you wanted to jump back into running your own business.
I really loved my time at the county, but I decided the call of the wild. I kind of felt like an outdoor cat being put inside the indoors. The indoors are great. It was warm and lovely, and I love the people. But I'm an outdoor cat, man. So let's get back out there and create some jobs, create a new company. And so I'm doing that with some partners. We have this new company. It's 11 months in, and things are going good. A lot of opportunity out there. People are hungry for a new kind of technology services company. And so we're trying to rise to that occasion.
Yeah. So what's the name? What are you working on?
Yeah. So the name of the company is Linean, right? And Linean is a play on the word alignment, right? Because we believe that if you align your people, your processes, and your technology, if you get those things aligned, amazing things could happen. So we help organizations of all sizes adopt and implement new technologies. I've spent a lot of time on this subsector of technology called AI, right? Artificial intelligence. We spend a ton of time helping clients think through how to use it and how not to use it. And we also provide consulting and project management for what I would call more traditional projects. People in Kern County and other parts of the state, and eventually will be outside of the state, have a need for technologists that can help them on demand, do projects. They might not want to hire a person, but they might need a team for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months to implement something. And so we spend between AI and technology consulting, that's what we do for our clients all day, every day.
Yeah. So you've already been perfect with your words on that delineation. Let's dive into that for a little bit. We need to use AI, but I think your question is, how do you need to use it? How does it benefit you? What is too much? What is not enough? How do you incorporate it in the greater scope of what you're trying to accomplish? Can you just stay on that for a little bit?
Yeah, well, we work with customers and we go, yeah, we're going to use AI. And it's like, awesome, cool. Okay, which one are you going to use? What model? What technology? What about the AI you're already paying for? Every application, every freaking computer, refrigerator, toaster has AI now, right? And it's like, well, what? And so our message in Kern County is, let's not, no disrespect to people outside of the area, but let's not let massive software companies come in with fancy brochures and go, thou shalt use this. Let's direct the playing field is level, right? It's like electricity. The light bulbs and electricity we get here is the same as anywhere else in the world. Let's think about what are we going to use? What light bulbs are we going to use? How are we going to power those lights? AI is the same way. What models are we going to use? How can we make sure we're designing what's right for us, not just saying yes to a fancy sales pitch? So we spend a lot of time helping clients think through, what should I use? Where should I use it? How should I use it? Right? It's no different than any business asset or resource. There's right ways and less right ways to use that. And so we like to think of ourselves as experts, and our clients would agree that we help them save time and money by thinking through not only what technology to use, where to plug it in, how humans will react to that, and how humans might need to be a little bit reorganized, and the effect of that, how the processes are documented. It's a whole new world. But it's really the same old thing we've been doing for 100 years. What's your process? Is it written down? Does everybody know it? How do we check it to make sure it's good? So it's the same old thing, just with a totally new set of tools that kind of look like magic.
Yeah. So some people are gung ho, and you're having to consult regarding proper usage, and then some people are completely hands off, a little bit nervous about AI. What say you?
Healthy skepticism is appropriate. I think look, we have a really great use case right now of social media. There was very little regulation. The toothpaste is out of the tube, and we see the good, the bad, the ugly, unvarnished. There's some good, there's some bad, there's some really terrible with social media. AI is going to be that times 100, and so we need a little bit of regulation. We need a little bit of thoughtfulness to put up some appropriate regulation that'll keep us safe, right? Because we've seen what happens with some of the social media impacts. Nobody's really paying attention. It was too new, and by the time we realized, it seems like every third kid in a restaurant has their face in the iPad. And you don't know. It just doesn't seem great, right? Or people get addicted. I mean, there's problems, right?
Yeah.
So counterbalancing that in the AI world with some smart regulation, some thoughtfulness is really important. I don't think it can just be the Wild West. But we need very light regulation, not heavy.
Yeah. Understood. So if I'm a business and I could use some help in this area, how does somebody get hold of you?
You just call us up. If you go to linean.com, linean.com, our information's right there. You can shoot us a note or call us. We'll pick up the phone and we'll have a conversation. Simple as that.
Is there any last words you have for the community out there?
I think my last word would be really to you on behalf of the community. We appreciate you. We appreciate the team here. I think you're the people that work at America's Job Center, at Employers Training Resource, and in the county in general, kind of our unsung heroes. We don't always think about it and say thank you, from law enforcement to public health to fire to ETR and the jobs programs y'all run. The community is grateful, and we don't always say thank you. So as from the entrepreneurs and business people of the town and the county, I say thank you. We appreciate what you're doing and your innovation to have a podcast. It's very cool. I'm sure you'll be receiving awards for this thing, and other counties will follow. So, I appreciate you having me, and more importantly, I appreciate what you and your team do for the businesses of Kern County.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you. Everything that you said about being authentic is 1,000% true for you. No. I know why you're good at what you do, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate you being here on episode 3 of Job Talk, where what we try to do is we try to talk jobs. And if you are a job seeker, understand that there's this whole new arena where you've got to be well equipped to know how to use AI as the new employee, as a part of your skill set. You heard from Jim directly that your attitude and aptitude go hand in hand when you're trying to be that next best employee. For ETR, for the county, want to say thank you for tuning in to episode 3, but we're out.